Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here for Deborah Kobylt Live. Wow, have I got an exciting and beautiful guest in studio with me today, Susan Anton.
Hi, baby.
Wow, thank you so much for. They are lining up outside here. At
Are
Warner
they
Brothers
lining up?
Yes.
Oh
When
my
I told
gosh.
people that you're coming on, they're like, "Can I come to the
Well,
studio?"
that's very sweet. I did pay them all, but
Yeah.
they'll be expecting some money.
I don't know. Their posters are still up on their, above their beds. It's unbelievable.
Well, thank you. It's good to see
Incredible.
you.
Great to see you.
Thank you. Well, this is fun.
And I can't wait to go to your show. You're going to be
Yeah.
doing, it's called Up Close and Personal
Yes.
over at Feinstein's at Vitello's
Yes.
in Studio City.
Studio City on Cahuenga.
Is that not the coolest venue up there?
You know, it's really fabulous, and I've worked there before, but this is altogether new because it's recently that Michael Feinstein, who's incredible cabaret performer, piano singer, he's teamed up with Vitello's. And so the club has had a little bit of a renovation. You know, Liza Minnelli's is a good friend of Michael's, and so they have this cool little bar that they built called the Liza Room, which is very cool. Everyone needs to check it out. Have a cocktail. Be somebody.
I've gone, yeah, it's so much fun. I've seen so many extraordinary performers like yourself there. It's very clubby. It's a wonderful atmosphere. And from what I understand, you may be sold out because I had to beg your publicist for a couple of I'm like, please, Turk, Anthony, do you have there? Because everyone wants to see your show.
Well, thank you. It does seem to be. I think the ticket sales are good. I'm happy to say. There again. It's really wonderful. I live in Las Vegas. My husband and I, Jeff and I, we just celebrated our 27th anniversary, and we have a dog, Joe. Wow. That's our child. But so living in Las Vegas, we come to LA all the time because we're both born and raised here, and all of our friends are here, and the bulk of our careers are here. So when I have a chance to come into Vitello's and do a show, I get to see everybody again. So it's like just like hanging out in a very nice living room with a piano.
I love that. And you've got a production company, right?
Yeah, we do. Big Picture Studios. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I've executive produced a couple award-winning a documentary that Amy Purdy, I don't know, a lot of people might remember her from Dancing with the Stars. She was the double amputee. She's a remarkable young lady and a bronze medalist, a snowboarder. So I did a documentary on her that won a lot of awards. But the best one was a short film called The Last Real Cowboys with Academy Award winner Billy Bob Thornton. And he and my husband are good friends. And so it's fun to dabble in behind the camera.
Dabble with Billy Bob Thornton? That's pretty big, I'd say. That's incredible.
Yeah. He's an amazing guy. We have a feature film that we're working on with him that... hopefully we can just get all that funding together. You know how that is, getting the funding together. But the script is fantastic, and Billy is just 100% on board. So we're really excited.
Very good.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Up Close and Personal.
Yeah.
It's pretty much about your long, beautiful history of working in this business, right?
Yeah, Deborah, it's interesting because the friends that I was mentioning to you, we get together for a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or a bottle, I should say, and we start telling stories. We could start talking about this person, that person, and have a million stories to
Isn't
share.
It beautiful? Yeah.
It's really great, and they've always said, you should write a book. So this is kind of my version
book?
of a book with some music. So telling about the people, the places, and the events. So it's not just show business driven. It's also about some of the things that happen in the world during the span of my life so far that have really influenced me and shaped me into the person that I am and what I care about and who I care about.
You like the Beatles?
I adore the Beatles, baby.
You sing a song from the Beatles,
Yeah,
don't you, in your
Beatles
show?
changed my world.
John Lennon's song. Do we have that queued up that we can maybe play that? Yeah. Here we go.
There are places I remember all my life. The sun have changed. There are places
I do that. I'm like, what a gift to be born with a voice like that.
Well,
Wow.
it's interesting to see how it's changed. It's gotten a lot deeper as I get older, but what I love about that
Very
is
sexy.
Thank you. I feel like that there's so much more of a real person there now than when you're young and you're just figuring it out,
Interesting you said that because, at least for me, okay, there's an arc there because as you go through life, you gather experiences, right? And there's a time, at least for me, I'd be like, nobody really needs to know I'm that old. But now, once I've gotten to a certain point, I'm like, I got a lot of good shit that's happened.
Celebrate
I
it.
love sharing it.
Yeah, I celebrate it. With every year I find myself, I get a little more liberated, quite honestly. Being young and the it girl kind of thing had a certain level of pressure. It was fun, but it's a lot more interesting to be able to have a commentary on life based on experience, real experience.
Especially some extraordinary experiences. I
Yeah.
mean, what that it girl time, like when you were the pinup poster.
Yeah.
Wow, one of the
I know.
greatest selling posters of all time.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know right now, I'm putting it out there. My husband was wild when I told him I'm interviewing you. He actually wanted to stop by on his way to his studio, and I'm like, just meet her on Friday. Okay?
We'll see him
Calm
on
down.
Friday. Yeah, we'll see him
So,
on Friday. We'll get a picture taken,
and he it's a must.
Yeah,
He'll
you
be
bet it is.
sneaking up to the piano.
Good. I like that. Maybe we'll do a duet.
Yeah. No, I don't think you want him to say that. But I mean, you had that kind of impact.
It was pretty
on
exciting in the 70s and early 80s. I was kind of ubiquitous, kind of everywhere. And so was posters and television. I don't know, over 100 television commercials, and a lot of television. And I did a couple films, and got nominated for a Golden Globe even. So.
What were you nominated for?
It was
Golden-
a Golden Girl, not the
Film.
Golden Girls.
Right, you have to be careful.
I wasn't B. Arthur.
No, or you
Rue
would have been
McClanahan.
Beyonce's granddaughter, but at the time. But
Yeah.
it's Golden Girl, the film.
It was a film where I played an Olympic track star, and it was pretty.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was a big deal at the time, but unfortunately, that was the only. I played this girl that was going to go to the Olympics to win 5 gold medals. And as it turned out, that was the year that the United States boycotted the Olympics. So I ended up being the only one that actually went to the Olympics. No real athletes ever attended the games.
Oh no!
Just me.
Oh no! You just. I got this, and I got the gold medal too.
Yeah,
because I got no.
I got all 5 of them. Woo!
Did you do your own running in that? Only
I did, but
You
it was so
did?
funny, Deborah, because I trained with an Olympic coach. And oh my gosh, the first day of training, I was so sore that, my hair hurt. It was so painful.
Wait a minute, you're so sore your hair hurts. That's
It
great.
did. It hurt. But we started filming one of the first races, and they had real runners, going in the scene with me. And we'd go out of the starting blocks, and the director yells, "Cut!" He told everybody that you all have to run slowly because she's supposed to win. So she's the fast one. So could you all run a little slower?
So they're in slow
They're
motion.
kind of running, like half their speed, and I'm just like working as hard as I can and barely beating them. But I did.
I love this. You started in the business, am I right? On a dare when you were in high school, is that right?
My high school boyfriend. Yes, indeed.
Gotta love those high school boyfriends for motivating us.
He did, and he's still a really good friend today.
Oh.
He's a really good friend today. Keith, he was the star athlete and very accomplished, and I'm 5'11", so I was tall and I was shy.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. But I was really shy, and I didn't have a lot of confidence. And so on a dare, he said, "You should enter the Miss Redlands pageant, the local beauty pageant." And I wasn't interested in doing it until I read the article. I saw there was going to be a talent portion, and I thought, well, I do want to sing, so okay, I'll do it. And I ended up winning. I did. I won, and then went on to the Miss California pageant and was Miss California in 1969, and then went to the Miss America pageant,
And
where
were
I
you
came in
not
second.
first runner-up?
First runner-up, yeah.
That's got to be exhilarating, but horribly disappointing at the same time,
It's-
right? Come on.
It's
when
like,
they're
huh?
sitting there like, oh, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
I wonder, what are they really thinking in their head?
Right.
Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, all these years later, I've gotten over it.
Yeah, but it's an opportunity to do that.
It was incredible for me at the time. Being from a little town in Southern California, I really had never traveled at all. And by the end of my year as Miss California, I'd gone all the way to Vietnam to entertain the troops and seen practically every one of our United States. And then I also realized at the end of that year that instead of going back and being a school teacher, which is what I thought I wanted to do, I realized I wanted to be in this business and see if I could make a go of it.
So that sort of started you on your journey, was the Miss America pageant.
It did. It absolutely did. Having the opportunity to be out in front of people, to be on stages, and to be singing, I realized how much I really enjoyed it. So I decided to, jump into the fray and give it a go.
I'm from New Jersey, and my first real TV job was at a small little station in Atlantic City, and I got to
my
cover.
gosh.
Right, I got to cover the pageant, and it was
Yeah.
so much fun, and it was very intimidating being around all the Miss America people. And I had a sister who was a pageant girl, and a very good friend of mine who was a Miss New Jersey.
Okay.
And I got to cover it, and I got to see the hard work these women really. It's changed a lot, though.
It has. It's changed a lot. Well, listen, when I was in the Miss America pageant, the women's lib was starting to really get very vocal, and they would surround the civic center and about burning bras and women's lib. And so, listen, I'm all about hashtag Me Too. We got to take care of each other, all of us girls, and we're not just some kind of little thing to parade around. But at the same time, back in those days, the Miss America pageant was one of the few opportunities that a girl, because it was a scholarship program, that you could actually get a scholarship to go to school and further your education. Guys could get it through athletics, but girls were not getting scholarships.
Wow, what a long way we've come.
We've come a long way, and so the pageant was really incredible at the time. And I don't know that they're still relevant today or not. But
they're changing, I think.
They're changing a lot
to make sure they become relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, people are really working hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's an institution. We all grew up watching it.
It
and maybe
is.
Young girls don't anymore, but if they change it a little bit, I think that's going to happen.
I hope so, because it is a great sisterhood. And a lot of the gals that I met then are still friends today. We stay in touch,
neat.
which is great. Via the internet, we're able to still, connect with one another.
Yeah.
And, and you become aware of social issues and you get involved. And a great many of them are involved with great charities and things like that. So I hope.
Genuinely, too.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah, I have to say that. A lot of people go, oh, I'm like, no, really. These people work hard. I have to be very clear.
Yeah, they really do. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So then, after the pageant, what was your first big moment, either in film and television, where it was like, that's Susan Anton?
Yeah.
Where everybody knew who
the
Susan
first
Anton
really identifying part, because I started breaking through doing some commercials here and there, and but then Muriel Cigars, which there again we don't advertise smoking anymore, and I've never been a smoker.
Real cigar, like cigars?
Real cigars. There was a very famous actress from the 50s. She was iconic. Her name was Edie Adams, and Edie Adams had been identified with the Muriel cigars, and with the great slogan, "Pick me. Why don't you pick me up and smoke me sometime?"
Oh, I love. Oh, pick
yeah,
me up and smoke me sometime. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, pick me up, smoke me sometime. But she was no longer going to be their spokesperson, so they had this big national campaign to find their new spokesperson, and so I got the account. And because it was such a high-profile thing at the time, then The Tonight Show and all the other talk shows, started calling. And
wait, were you on with Johnny?
I was.
Oh, I missed that clip. I've watched just about everything you've done. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, because like anybody that gets the call to do their first Tonight Show with Johnny, it's like, oh my gosh, here's the moment. So I didn't eat for like 2 weeks.
I can imagine. It's like, please. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, and then on that show that night was Glenn Campbell and Dom DeLuise and, of course, Ed McMahon and then Doc Severinsen. And it was incredible. And Johnny was just absolutely charming.
Oh, I wish I had a clip of that, because I could imagine he'd probably be leaning in like
he
this,
did.
Right?
He did indeed.
Because he's probably so taken with you. When he's taken with the ladies, he does one of these.
He does that. Yeah, he does. He leaned in.
Neat.
He was a cutie pie. I had a crush on him. Yeah.
Who didn't have a crush
I know.
on him?
Cute, funny, smart. Yeah, that works every time.
Yeah, and very talented. He just made it seem like he was hanging with you in your living room, which he was.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. But yeah, and so many people came off of his show that he really was a great platform to get you launched.
Yeah. So after cigars, then what?
Well, then having been on all the talk shows, Fred Silverman, who was the president at that time of ABC, and this is back in the days of the big juggernaut of Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days and Charlie's Angels.
All those
and
50s
everything.
type shows. Well, not Charlie's Angels.
Well, no, this was in the 70s.
But I mean, those were like taking place in the 50s. Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah,
and
those
that's
were.
What I meant.
Yeah, they were set in that time period. But he saw me, I think, on the Merv Griffin show, and Fred Silverman was the president of ABC and a big fan of Variety. And so ABC signed me to a deal, and I did some variety shows for them, and then I did a TV series called Cliffhangers. And then when Fred Silverman...
Remember that?
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow.
It was fun. Kenneth Johnson, who created the Bionic Woman and the $6 Million Man, created it. So I did that, and then Fred Silverman went over to NBC, and then I signed a deal with NBC, and I did a lot of different shows over there for a while. So then it all just kind of happens, you know.
Right, because I think once you're in the system and
Yeah.
they know you and you know them,
Nightclubs, concerts, recording, you know, traveling the world.
Baywatch, because everybody knows you
Baywatch.
on Baywatch. Now, you were one of the a mom on Baywatch.
I got to be a mom. It
Do you
was
know
so
I didn't
fantastic.
even know that? I always see you in this red bathing suit.
I know,
Like, to
that's
me,
the
you were the
poster,
girl.
yeah.
You were the
Yeah.
right. That's the poster.
That's the poster. No, it was really fantastic because I didn't have to be one of those girls running in slow motion. No, you know, run, someone.
But let's face it, Susan, you could have been. I mean, come on.
Well, I think I didn't want to be. So it was nice playing a mom of one of the lifeguards and flirting with David Hasselhoff. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good guy.
You were on that for how many seasons?
About 5 seasons. It was really, it's a great gig because you wake up in California, which is already fantastic, super early. You drive to the beach in Santa
Where was that?
Monica.
Santa Monica
Santa
or
Monica.
Malibu? Yeah.
Santa Monica. Drive to the beach, watch the sun come up, do a little work, and then go home to, it's like, is this a job? It's like pretty sweet.
Yeah. So in between all this, you've worked with some of the largest stars in entertainment. Many of them aren't even here anymore, but
No, they're
you're
not.
here to talk about
I
them.
am.
Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra. I toured with Frank Sinatra in 1984 for the entire summer. It was the year that the Olympic torch was coming. We had the games at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
And,
I can't imagine how exciting that was.
it was really
right?
thrilling. It was really thrilling. So it was a concert series that we did across America. That summer, and then I worked with Sammy Davis Jr., Kenny Rogers, I don't know, everybody, George Burns. Just a list of many wonderful people.
How many kids in your family?
There's 5. I'm the second oldest.
I
Boy,
mean, were
girl,
they
boy,
just
girl.
A
boy.
little in awe of you. I mean, you grew up in a small
Nah,
town.
Yeah.
No.
I'm
No?
their sister, and I probably they love and adore, and they were always really supportive. But your sibling is your sibling, and you're kind of like
I guess, but it's like my kid's performing with Frank Sinatra. I mean,
Well,
come
mom
on.
and dad were pretty knocked out. They're no
I bet
longer
they
here.
were.
But my mom had been a Bobby Soxer too. So
Wait, what's that?
Well, that's kind of like what I was for the Beatles. Like the Beatles. Well, that's what back when my mom was a little girl, the fashion was saddle shoes with little roll down socks, and all the young girls were crazy about Frank Sinatra, and so they called them Bobby Soxers. So my mom
That's
was.
funny.
Isn't that cute? See,
Yeah.
I learned something today.
Well, my mom was crazy for him, and she grew up in Italy and then New Jersey.
Well, yeah,
She
Italian.
always tells me, Italian.
Yeah.
So hey. So they would show up to the back wherever he was performing in Elizabeth
yeah.
or Newark, and
Yeah.
I don't know if they were Bobby Soxers, but they were crazy.
Crazy
fans.
about
What a
him.
time.
Yeah.
What a-
Well, a quick story about him that I actually don't share in the movie in the show. When one of the concerts that we were doing, we were up in San Francisco, so I flew my mom and dad up to meet Frank, and we were all in this big group picture, and there was Sinatra, myself, and David Brenner, George Burns, this whole group of people, and mom and dad were standing at the far end, and before the photographer was getting ready to take the picture, and Frank said, wait. And he got out of line and he went over, got my mom and brought her and put her right next to him, and he said, "A lady never stands on the end." And he just put her right there in the center and celebrated her. And that is, like quintessential Sinatra. He just saw
He was
everything.
charming.
He
And
was
saw
charming,
everything. And he
saw
wanted
everything. Yeah.
people in his environment to
Took
be
care
so
of you.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Sammy.
Sammy Davis Jr., one of the dearest people I ever knew. And you talk about talented. I mean, he was just extraordinarily gifted. And I had fallen in love and interested in Sammy Davis Jr. when I was in high school because of the civil rights movement. And I had read his book, Yes, I Can. And I couldn't comprehend how it was possible that you could, stand on stage and entertain hundreds of people, standing ovations night after night after night, but you couldn't walk through the front door of the hotel where you were working or sleep there. So I was really interested to see his show, and I became a huge fan, and I got to work with him a lot. So I will touch on that in Up Close and Personal as well.
I'm trying to get her to say stuff that's going to be in the show.
I know.
So
I
for
don't want to
those
give it
peop-
all away.
A
It's
little teeny bit for those people who can't come if they're over in Kansas or New York.
if they're, oh, well,
Because this goes everywhere.
Yeah, no. Well, the truth is, he's such a generous entertainer that when I had my first headlining engagement on the Strip in Las Vegas, Sammy actually sat in the light booth and called the lights. So he sat up there and did that. And
Wait, how do you light yourself if you were together? You
No,
and then him.
no, he sat up in
Yeah,
the
I
booth.
know, but I'm just joking. I'm just imagining if you were on stage. Well, you were on stage
Well,
with him.
but
at one
rather
point.
than me hiring a lighting designer to sit up there and say, open the spot and put this color on or that color on her, here is one of the most legendary entertainers of all time being my lighting man.
Because he knew.
Because he did
kind
know.
of wanted it right for you.
He did.
I get that. I actually really get that.
He did. He really wanted it right. He's like, you got to open the spot. You're missing her hands.
No, believe me, I'm a stickler for lighting of all things.
Yeah.
So you saw me right before we were
I did.
shooting. I'm like, wait a minute, move it over there. So
Yeah.
Sammy, I get it. If he was around, I would have
Yeah.
aligned with him very, very much. Do we have a clip? You didn't really know Elvis or work with Elvis, right? But you were once in his presence.
I
when he
did.
was This is in Vegas, right?
I met him in Vegas when one of the very first shows I was doing. I was part of a production show, and of course Elvis was huge. He was Elvis, and I was at Tom Jones' show. He was doing a show. Tom Jones is awesome. I've worked with Tom a lot.
Never saw him in concert.
Oh,
not unusual. I don't know. It was something like my mom
man
listened to,
can
and I thought,
sing.
really? But now I want to go see him.
Yeah, no, the man. He's one of the best singers.
I even want to see
ever.
Wayne Newton. I mean, I want to see all these people.
Well, they have. It's a dying. I don't mean it like that way, but it's an
a
art
genre,
form. It's
yeah.
a genre that is not necessarily. You don't really see it anymore. Every now and then, I notice on The Voice, you'll get some young kid that will croon, which is what Sinatra did, but it's rare. It's rare that you see that genre, nowadays anyway. But yeah, Elvis came to the show, and so I met him there, and I just have a really sweet memory of him. We all went over to the entourages, went over to Elvis's suite at the Hilton Hotel, and he told us stories and stuff like that. But I get into the show about just this really sweet moment that we shared. He loved Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. And
is that right?
He loved it, and he traveled with books everywhere that he went. He traveled with a giant library.
See, these are the things that people might. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
And these are the things you learn by going to Susan Anton's show or by watching her here on mine.
Yeah.
So wow.
Yeah. So that's my memory of Elvis. Was that him taking me in and showing me his book collection and giving me a copy of the book that he loved so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do we have a brief clip of her talking about the moment that sort of Elvis burst through the door?
Burst through the door of the Caesar's Palace showroom.
Oh, let's play that, Tony.
And the doors to Caesar's Palace showroom flung open. And there he stood, the king, Elvis. And he walked in. Everybody was in awe. And he took the stage with Tom Jones, and the two of them sang the American Trilogy. To say that the audience was excited is an understatement. It was pretty fabulous.
Well, that's part of your show, too.
That's part of the show, too.
I mean, you just go down memory lane for so many people who've either lived it, who lived it through their family, their parents, their brothers, sisters.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing.
I'm glad you're saying that because, I relate to all of this because I lived it. But I think that, like you said, it's about time, but also about people that parents or grandparents or the kids have heard their mom and dad talk about it, or maybe. So hopefully it'll encourage everybody to have a memory of their own about where they were when certain things happened, or when, like, the Beatles went on Ed Sullivan for the first time. When we talk about that, I mean, it changed my world, but that also changed the way music is today.
Yeah.
So the Beatles changed everybody's life, even if you weren't born then.
What was it like, though? I mean, I guess to you, life was just normal. Was it ever difficult to be such a well-recognized person? First of all, you're beautiful. Second of all, you're tall. So when you walk into a room, everyone knows who you are to this day.
Well,
I'm sure by now, clearly you're used to it. But when it was all starting,
but the thing that's interesting, Deborah, is when I look back at it now, I was so insecure that I I don't know how often I was actually present for myself. You
Boy,
know,
if
when
that isn't true.
you know
People
when
only
you're
knew.
young, you're just kind of you're hard on yourself, and you're wondering like how you doing. And I didn't have any real training. I didn't have any real background. It was just like all of a sudden in a spotlight, and it was exciting, but. I was just kind of making it up as I went along. So
Did pretty good, I'd say.
thank you. But so it wasn't, it's only in recent years, being older, that I feel like I can own who I am. But back then I was playing catch up, like, who am I? Why are they stopping me? Why do they want this? Why do they want that? I just want to sing. I just want to do this because it's fun. And then there's fame. And fame is a different thing than craft. Nowadays, I think a lot of people are looking just to be famous. They get on the internet and they have some kind of little thing that they do, and they.
Please tell me that's going to go away.
It's I
very,
hope so. I mean, where's craft?
Yeah, I mean,
Where's
it's
real
there,
craft?
but
Yeah.
you got to look for it. And you're right.
Yeah.
In a second, you can just be a
You can
quick
be famous in a
Instagram
second. Yeah.
star. And I often look and say, well, what is it that you do?
Yeah.
Let's just hope that craft comes back into fashion.
Yeah.
I think it is. You know what else I think is
Yeah.
coming back into fashion? I like to talk about this. Women of a certain age. It used to be, it's like, shh. But now
Right.
it's like, hey, look what I've done. I look pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty badass. I look all right.
Badass is my favorite word. And there's
Yeah.
even a book, everybody should read it, and I Am a Badass.
Yeah, why not?
Jen Sincero. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I own every bit of it.
But I think a lot more women are too.
And celebrating it. I
That's
think so
right.
too. I think so too. Well, we've got incredible women out there like Jane Fonda, who's 82 and still can't wait to get arrested every week, protesting for climate change. And she's awesome, and she looks fantastic. Or Diane Keaton and
Gloria Steinem. I mean,
Gloria
there's so
Steinem
many
and
people
Meryl
out there.
Streep. I mean, the list is long.
I almost feel like there's way more similarities than differences. Hopefully, I think so, for a much younger person and then people who are older. I just feel like we have now more in common. I just remember looking at my mom when she was over 40, thinking, "Oh my God, she's a dinosaur."
Oh, I know, right?
And I don't.
Yeah.
I hope maybe that we're not looked at.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
and I think part of it for me anyway is coming through the 60s. We really did, not just did women get liberated, but we as a youth got liberated from the establishment. And I think that made us very relatable to future generations, and to encourage their personal growth. And I think that we're much more open to what excites them and why, whether it's music or fashion or the films that they watch. We're interested. We're not like it's got to be my way or forget about it. It's like, no, and that keeps us young, and I think it does keep us relevant.
Is it hard dating, though, in the public eye? I mean, you were connected to Sylvester Stallone. I think he's still a friend of yours, is that right?
Well, I haven't seen him in a long time, but I like to think that we're not mad, are we?
Yeah, I don't think you'd walk in the other direction when you saw each other.
I don't think so.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
people go their
no.
different ways. And then
Yeah.
clearly Dudley Moore.
And Dudley
I know
Moore,
that you
yeah.
talk about Dudley a lot in your show.
Well, no, I don't talk about
You
it.
don't?
Actually, no.
Take that back.
Yeah, I don't talk
I didn't
about
go yet, people, so
Yeah.
I thought so.
No, I mean, I would have no problem talking about Dudley in the show, but, actually, and if I did talk about Dudley, the song, we always kidded about it because Dudley's 5'2". He was 5'2", and I'm 5'11". So our song was, I've Got You Under My Chin.
Okay, what was it that attracted you? You were adorable. You were connected for what? How many years? You
About
said
8 years.
8
8 years. But he was a friend until the time of his death. We still talked. He was brilliant. He was outrageously smart and funny. But I tell you the thing about Dudley that attracted me to him the most is he was really an advocate for personal growth and therapy and self-awareness and self-evolvement. And that he introduced me to that whole channel of life, and I've been a student of life ever since. So that's really directly related to Dudley. Dudley was a real advocate for that, for people to be healthy and to know that you had value, that as a person, because you were here, you had value and purpose.
For a lot of us on the outside, right, we would look at that relationship and go, But for somebody like me who's 5'9" in my sneakers, I thought, okay, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well,
you were
you
one
know-
of the first people out there to date somebody who's, my husband's like this much shorter than me. He
Yeah.
will not admit it, but just a little bit. And
Well, we used to get a lot of letters from kids, and it was actually I'm sure your viewers will, you know who Scott Hamilton is, who won the Olympic gold medal ice skating and does the commentary at the Winter Games.
Love him.
He's fantastic. And Scott Hamilton, I was watching The Wide World of Sports. This is many years ago before he won his gold medal. And he said, you know, that having seen Susan Anton and Dudley Moore, it gave him hope that, you know, being a shorter guy like him, that he had hope that someday he could date me. So we got a hold of him, and I surprised him at a function at the Waldorf Astoria.
Did he pass out?
No, he just about did.
I can't imagine.
It was on TV. It was on some TV special about the Olympic hopefuls, the ones that were getting ready to go to Sarajevo. And I sang to him, "You must have been a beautiful baby," and he just started to go like, ah. So he's been a good friend ever since.
Really?
Yeah, and that's directly because he's like, well, if Dudley Moore can date Susan Anton, so can I.
You've got a great attitude. I mean, I walked in here, you were smiling. I saw you when I was parking, you were smiling. You just have a very upbeat attitude.
Thank you. Well, I have a blessed life, you know.
You do, and I love your attitude. I mean, clearly it goes up and down in this business or any business, right? And you seem to just ride it.
Pretty
amazing.
I think, in my opinion, it's all worked out. You know, and I try. My philosophy is you work from the end, and because you know that there's an end somewhere, and you figure, well, when the end comes, the end will be perfect, and so everything else in the middle, it's all worked out. So you got nothing to stress about. You got no worry. So let's be present. Yeah. Let's see. I started meditating a few years ago, and that's really been an incredible addition.
Like people always say that, and I think, well, what, for an hour, 20 minutes? You go to
20
the beach?
minutes every morning.
Really?
20 minutes every morning. It's the first thing I do. There's an incredible app I highly recommend called Headspace. Headspace. It's hugely successful, and it's so user friendly. And I don't even think about it. No pun intended. But it's the first thing I do when I get up.
When I first started meditating, I remember thinking, okay, Deborah, stop thinking. You know, it takes a little while.
But
you
that's
have to
the
learn.
thing. But meditating, that's the whole thing, is that you're going to have a million thoughts. Now you're just aware that there comes another thought. I call them my roommate. There's my roommate yakking it up again. You know, could you be quiet? I'm trying to meditate. But what about, don't you need to go to the store and get the groceries? I go like, not in 10 minutes, okay? And then the minute you calm yourself down, well, there's the roommate talking again. You know, they're never going to go away. Thoughts are like cars in Los Angeles on the freeway. They're not going to ever go away.
That's another great one. Thoughts are like cars on the freeway in LA. You've got a lot of them, Susan. I've loved having you on.
It's been great.
Yeah, a little shout out on how people can get in touch with you, because we have a lot of fans. I really was getting a lot of people got in touch with me when they found out you were coming on. So how can they? Do you interact on social media, or do you have like people doing that?
Well, I do have people, but I am very much a part of it because it's not like I have 8 million followers or something. So we have a gal in our office mostly because I'm technologically challenged. So we post, and I would love to hear from people.
Yeah, people now also just instant message people on Instagram.
We're on Instagram,
so easy.
And we're on Facebook, which I guess is getting antiquated. But I think that's what I'm on. Yeah. Those two,
And at Vitello's, right?
Yes.
Feinstein at Vitello's.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Feinstein.
Okay. Feinstein at Vitello's.
You stay Steen, I stay Stein.
You say Steen, I say Stein. Just show up at Vitello's. This Friday.
The doors open at 6:30. Shows at 8:00. It's about figure an hour and a half show. The food is delicious.
Oh, the place is fantastic. If you're local, that place is fantastic. Yeah. And if not, how about this? Are you streaming that? If not that night, then another time on your YouTube?
We are not planning on doing it just now, but it's not out of the question. Yeah. It's not out of the question. My husband is a director. And so he did bring his camera, and we'll probably, record it and maybe release little bits here.
Yeah, some great bits that I know people would love to hear and see. So thank you so much, because I know you're also right in the middle of your rehearsal, and your publicist ran you over here, and now you're running back to rehearse. I cannot wait to see it.
Well,
I've got friends that I'm going to be going with, so we're all very excited.
I can't wait. I appreciate the time here today.
No, I do. It's an honor.
Thank you, honey. And make sure that I see that husband of yours so I can give him a kiss.
Oh, I promise. His name is John. He's just going to pass
All right,
out.
John.
Okay.
All right, John. Hi, John.
Oh, my God. I'm going to put this on his page. He's going to pass out. Anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Deborah.
Vitello's Friday night, if you're local, and if you could find a ticket. I don't know. Find a friend who's going, because that's what I had to do. So I'm very grateful to be attending. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here on Deborah Kobylt Live. Look up Susan on her social, because that's a great way to get in touch with her or people, anything you want to say. Are your posters still in print? Can somebody still find a poster?
You know, they're out there on the internet. You just, I sign them all the time.
Yeah, they are.
People still do it. Yeah.
Bring one to Vitello's. I promise I'll get her to sign it for you. What about that?
There you go.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. See you next time on Deborah Kobylt Live. And you can find us on Facebook and YouTube. And for those who are listening to their podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, just about anywhere that you get your podcast, you can find us, Deborah Kobylt Live. And we'll see you next time. Bye.